At the age of 21, I have built more than 5 sources of income, and that is quite the reason I was able to cross 7 lakhs in December 2025. Hi, I'm Monzi, I'm 21, and you guys might know me as a full-time content creator, but again, this is not my only source of income. I do much more than this, and that's why this is the entire breakdown of the 5 sources of income that I have. I posted this video on Instagram, and you guys went kind of gaga over it, and the amount of replies I got, and most of them were actually hate comments that people don't even agree or believe me that I'm being saying the truth. And that is only because I don't want to come here and flex about it or something. I just want to give a very clear picture that earning making money in lakhs or maybe whatever the digit you want is very easy. It's kind of doable as well, and that is why I have multiple sources of income, and I actually want to give you more of a detailed breakdown in this video that how I do it and how exactly the entire walkthrough of it, so that you also have proper picture about all of these sources and why actually multiple sources of income. So that is there. Let's start right in. The first source of income was brand deal, and since I'm a full-time creator, this is my primary source of income. And last month I generated more than 5 lakhs from just brand deals. And for those it sounds very unrealistic, let me break it down to you. This amount actually includes the amount of money I received that month plus the work I did, and some of the invoices are yet to be cleared. So in this month, January, I will be receiving some of the invoices. And in content creation, what basically works is the 30-day payment cycle. So in the month of January, I included all the videos that I worked plus the amount I got from the previous month, which is November, or the starting of January, whatever the payment cycles were. Also, most importantly, the views, the follower count, all of those are important, yes, but the quality of content matters so much more, because most of the time the brands the videos that you actually see on any creator's page that they are promoting, any brand, for example Zomato, Swiggy, whichever brand that might be, that is run as ads. So those brands actually pay the creators mostly for the ads that they are running. So the primary source of the organic views that they are getting, that is fine, but most of the brands do not rely on that. They actually run as ads, and that is why the creators charge so much, and they are able to pay and justify the amount as well. So that is quite the reason. And if somebody is still thinking oh my god, the brands are paying so much to the creators but they are not getting anything in return, what's the cycle and why is this industry even going? Because of the reason it is going as ads. Okay, and this is something I feel people lack the knowledge, that consumer psychology does not work on if I see some creator buying, then how much purchase I do, or brands do not track the metric on basis of if a creator's video is going viral wagera, and how much is the sales they're having. Obviously this is a part of it, obviously it's a very major chunk, you cannot skip it from a brand's POV. Obviously they want as much sales they want from that one video they're investing at, but more than that, this is the retention rate that's having in a consumer's head. So as per the consumer psychology, imagine you're seeing thousands of creators promoting one brand. For example, Moxie Beauty, that is one brand that I personally worked with, and I love their products. So anyways, just for an example, imagine you see 10 creators just promoting about Moxie. You as a consumer might not need the product, but you're okay, I'm just seeing it so many times, so let me just give it a shot. So that is the headspace that comes into. Not one person's video is gonna completely change or completely transform you and make you a full-time consumer or lifetime consumer base. That is not something that works. What exactly is the consumer psychology that the brand works is they use the video multiple times. So that's why they push with through multiple creators multiple times, ads, etc. And that is quite the reason every as a consumer we keep on looking at that, and that becomes a viral thing over the internet. And that is quite the reason creators are actually charging so much more to the brands than you can probably imagine. Also, for the brand deals, I am not managed by any agency at this point. I personally don't think I will be, at least till the time it's work is too much out of my hand. At this time I'm doing this full time and I'm very comfortable doing this. So yes, I'm not managed by any agency. All the deals I get is completely inbound. All these brands or other agencies for a single freelance deals, they reach out to me and we just talk and go ahead with that. I've actually made another entire video on how to get brand deals, how to outreach, how much should you charge. So I'll just link it up somewhere, and yeah, you can definitely go check that out as well. My second source of income as a UGC creator, from which I generated more than 1 lakh last month. Now before going ahead, let me break it down, the difference between a UGC and a brand deals. Now I've spoke about this on the internet multiple times, but just a one-liner explanation of that would be, so in the first place, brand deals are basically, see, as a creator it's the same work, you are creating content, right? So for brand deals it's actually two types, a collab or a non-collab. In the collab video, it's basically the video is going to be posted on your page plus the company's page. Example, I'm taking Swiggy. So if you're posting a video for Swiggy, it will be on your page, you will be posting it, and you will be collaborating it with Swiggy as well. That is a collab. What is a non-collab? Non-collab is basically it will be posted on your page, and it will be much more inorganic as in sense. And secondly, it will not be on the brand's page. You will just tag the brand or integrate their products inside your video, and that is how the promotion works. And this is called brand deals. Brand deals are in short a collab or non-collab video. In short, you are doing the work as a content creator, plus you're promoting it with your audience as well. So this is called the brand deals. Secondly, as per which comes to the UGC, on the other hand, you do not need any promotions. You are just a sole creator at this point. You just get the video done and you give it to the brand. Now they can use it on their page, they can run ads. Obviously you discuss beforehand only. If there's ads, you can charge much more higher, but that is how it works. Okay, so as a brand deal or like a collab or non-collab, you need to be a slightly on the side of an influencer to have a little bit of audience, and you push it among your audience. And on the other hand, for the UGC, you do not need to push it among anybody else. You're just a creator, you just give it to the brand and they work around with the video. So the sole difference here is only for the promotion part. As a creator, it's just the same. So the sole difference here is only for the promotion part. As a creator, it's just the same. One hand, you do promote it from your end. On the other hand, you don't do anything, just create the video. Now for UGC, I work with one brand which is on a retainer basis, and I work with them on a monthly cycle thing. So that is where. And secondly, others were as similar as brand deals. They just come as freelance basis, come inquire me through mail or my DMs, and that is how we go ahead and negotiate the deal and get the job done. Obviously, a lot of people still ask me can you still be a UGC creator if you don't want to be an influencer or a content creator, or promote it from your end? 100% you can do it, yes. But again, this is called the visibility factor comes. At this point, I do not need to outreach at all. All of these are inbound leads. Why? Because I am so available and present on the internet. If a brand actually wants to hire a creator and they come across my page, they can see the way I talk, the way I present myself, all of those. And this is a very easy factor for them to even judge it, if I'm a good suitable person for their brand or not. So that is quite the reason. Even if you want to do just just UGC, at least post something on your page, so that if a brand actually comes across your page, or even if you outreach, they will have a little bit of the idea that how you are as a creator, in short. My third source of income is the one-on-one sessions I take. So as I'm giving all these lectures or giving you all the information on YouTube, so this is something I do as one-on-one sessions also with multiple clients or other people. So you can actually book it from from my Instagram page. That's the link is there on the bio in top. I'm not trying to sell, guys. I'm just putting forward a very clear picture about what exactly I do. So yeah, these sessions are basically could be anything all the expertise obviously related to media. I cannot help you with tech or something else, but media, if you're running an agency or being a creator, anything of these sorts, because I have worked on the back end also. I have worked as social media manager. I still work as a social media manager in a way. And secondly, everything. So I've been on the front of the camera and the back of the camera. I think I have good of a knowledge, because back in college also I was leading all these marketing campaigns, all of those. So yes, if you book a call, that is where I get the money. Till date, I have not increased even a slight amount of price what I charge for the one-on-one sessions. The one I used to charge at the beginning of the college also. At that point also, I had very few clients at that time. But anyways, the one I used to charge till date also, I charge the same, and I plan on taking the same amount because of the reason you can charge extra from the brand. So that is why the amount is also very less. I literally got around 3K this month only from these sessions, and I took around 4 sessions. So yeah, and the point of my my point is, even if you are as an entrepreneur, somebody trying to make money, take money from people, or take money from those people who can actually pay you, not from normal people, because that just doesn't make sense. I can obviously charge the brands. These brands are minting money, and probably from my video or the ads, they're gonna get some 10x amount in return. So that is something a very negligible amount for them. But for somebody who's actually coming from me for some knowledge or somebody, and most of the people who actually book a session with me are college student or somebody just starting up their agency. So I don't want to overcharge them. So yeah, that is again a very negligible price. I do not plan on increasing the amount. Even if I need money or not, I don't plan on increasing. So that is there about the one-on-one sessions that I take. By the way, guys, do ignore some of the people going in the cycle. It's actually I'm back at home, and it's just the car is literally placed outside the apartment, outside the the garage door. So a lot of people will be going and coming by. Just ignore it a little bit. My fourth source of income is the digital products, which is the social media school cohort that I run, and this is run by me and my friend Prajakta. Even she's a creator, and yes, this is a proper cohort that we run. This includes all the live sessions, recording modules, all of those, and we had a lot of internal costs. Okay, this is not just just like, this is not the revenue. I'm just telling my share of profit. So my share of profit was 80K from this. And guys, this was absolutely one time, obviously, because the batch we ran from, like, this was our first batch, by the way. And touchwood, this was one of the best batch we could ever get, possibly. Our main goal for this cohort was not to make the profit, but actually, like, give away all the value and everything. The amount of 3 months of work that we, like, the rigorous work it took, like from brand deals, if I put, like, the same amount of hours, I could have made way more than 80K, like easily way more. But again, this is not something I'm relating to money again. That's why I'm saying take money from people who can pay you, and for the others, you actually try to give value, which you can. So yes, for some people, they might be like, oh my god, this 80K is so much. And this is, again, I want to clarify. So we had a lot more, like, unpaid interns as well. And for a lot of people, this was like, a little bit clashing, that how come if we are making so much money, why are we not paying those people? Let me break this thing down for you guys. So this was actually not just one time, and more like 3 months of job. And this was a lot more work than actually, like, you can see on the, like, on the screen. And for the people who actually, like, worked for us, we gave the minimum amount of work, and we actually gave them proper clients to work with later on as well, so that they are actually, like, we are able to give back what they are providing with to us. And we had only a few people who worked with us for, like, as unpaid interns. Rest of the people, like the developer we had, the manager we had, every single person was paid. And for the next cohort we always also, like, we of course want all the freelancers working with us paid, because we have been on the same phase as well. So that is there. But again, this share of profit I got in December, that's why I'm calculating. But otherwise, you can imagine this is something 3 months of work altogether. My last source of income is kind of interesting, and a lot of people had so much, like, questions about it. So this is what I work as a high ticket sales closer, and from which I got more than, like, around $325. Now again, dollars price keep on, like, fluctuating, but if I would make it an equivalent price in rupees, it would be around 29,250. So take it as 29,000 something. But anyways, as per the high ticket sales closer, what exactly goes into, like, behind it? So if I want to, like, explain you high ticket sales, it basically means, like, I work as a closer. So I do not do lead generation. I do not do, like, search prospects, all of those. I literally just, like, cater the clients which are, like, the warm leads. Those are not even cold leads. Warm leads, I cater to them. So basically my job is I work with an agency. So you, in short, as a high ticket sales closer, you work with an agency owner or somebody, like, a coach, somebody who has a product or a service which is in the high ticket sector. Okay. High ticket is, like, that completely depends on you, what you, like, in short want to say it as high tickets. But something like easily something which is more than $1,000 should be high ticket. It's somewhat like not exactly high ticket, it's like mid high ticket, but again, it's not bad. Like anything which is more than $1,000 should be considered as, like, something high ticket that you should be starting with, because of the commission reason. And here the commission generally rates from, like, the 10 to 15%. Again, depends on, like, company to company, agency to agency. Some people, like, if that is, like, extremely high ticket, they sometimes pay you, like, 6 to 7% as well, again depending on it. Okay, so yeah, for me it generally ranges between 10 to 15%. And right now, for the agencies that I've been working with, they have, like, the ticket size between $1,000 to, like, $5,000, nothing more than that. And sometimes it's a little less, but again, if it's a little lesser for me, then I charge a little bit more on the commission part. And as a sales closer, your sole purpose is literally just to come on the call and, like, close the deal. I work as a remote sales closer, and the best part about this is, like, you do not need to do much work. It's literally like just your yapping skills. Your job is basically yap through the thing. You should have, like, complete detail about the product or the service that you're selling. You should have a very good insight about it, and only work with people that you trust on. For example, the agencies, if they are exploiting other clients or something, I do not want to work with them, because again, my brand name comes in place, and I don't want to sell something that I personally don't trust into. So that is number one. Again, there's one more source of income which I actually did not mention. It's not like something, like, very much active for me. So I do work as a social media manager as well, which I told at the beginning. So currently at this point, I do not have the time or the bandwidth, like, to actually cater the clients that way I should. So what I do, I actually work with another strategist, and she is amazing and great at her job. So I personally cater the, like, the lead generation for me. So it's basically just the inbound leads, because a lot of people do actually DM me or text me. So that is where, so I just generally come into the place where I, like, close the deal for myself. And then the most of the work is actually done by her. Then we have, like, editors, proper, like, videographers. If that is something we need the help, obviously we outsource all the work that we need. But apart from that, yes, I do kind of still work as a social media manager. My, like, share of work on this is very less. It's like just a minute thing. It's not even much active for me, but again, this is just something, one of the source of income I feel like I should mention on the internet. And that is, again, fluctuating. This is, like, very new. I don't even do much of a work. So yes, I do not have a, like, in a proper metric or a number to say, but ideally I earn around 10 to 15k a month. And again, this is easily, I do bare amount of work in this. It's just all done by somebody else. I just use a little bit of my brain for strategizing all of those, and a little bit of the management just to ensure that everything is working on a smooth flow. Okay, since I have broken down into all the source of income I have, I actually want to go into the question, why multiple source of income. Now this is something if you are somebody who is a little bit on the entrepreneurial spirit, or you want to have your own business, I will always 100% suggest, do not keep all your eggs in the same basket, because this is something COVID taught us, and this is something Warren Buffett also said. If you remember his infamous quote, I'm just saying it in my words, I don't remember the exact words, but what exactly he told was the person who actually has the only single source of income, that's the person who's actually losing in the COVID time, because of the reason multiple source of income is not because of the reason I would maximize my income on all of those. Yes, obviously I'm going to maximize my income through all of those, but again, if I could have literally put the same amount of work that I do, I could have literally done in just branding, so just either one of those, probably that would make me more money. But that is not how things work, because at any of the time, this is again business, guys. You need to understand, this is again freelancing, and any of the time, if one of the puts if one of the pillars go down, I don't have anything else to support myself on, and I just don't have anything else to gamble myself or play around sometimes. So that is there. So always, if you're somebody into entrepreneur, I would suggest break down and branch out as much as you can as your income sources. Some could be just for value, some could be just for person's sake, some could be the cash cow that you have, but again, do not stick to one, and if you can branch out as many as you can. Anyways, guys, I hope you got a good insight out of this video. And yes, I want to say that this does not happen over in one day or something. This took me around 3 years of content creation, and since 1 year when I took things much more seriously, and since down the line half of 2025 when I actually went all in, and that's when things started actually showing up. My graph of growth was little bit, and then it just spiked up, because of the reason all of those were exponentially stacking up in the background. So this amount which you see, it's just too flashy, or for some people, it's just their weekly expenditure. So whatever it might be, this amount is not something that just happened over the time. It did not fall into my lap. Every creator that you see on the internet, somebody who's making much more than me, lesser than me, whatever the number, not whatever the number is, doesn't matter. They have actually put in the work. So yeah, that is there. It is very much doable. I hope you got some insights and got a clear picture out of it. And yes, if you have any questions, definitely let me know in the comment section. And if you want any of these topic to actually for me to break it down and to make much more of a detailed video on this, I would surely love to do that. So yeah, see you guys on the next video.